Good morning. I will never be my school's valedictorian. And just to clarify, I did in fact have a shot at it. This was not due to me taking a light course load or to letting my grades slip. It was because I decided to take choir. You see, I go to a highly competitive local high school, and like many highly competitive high school, my school weights AP classes on a 5-point scale, while all other classes, including arts, are weighted on a 4-point scale. So let's say that you, as a student in my school, are starting out your year with 6 class slot schedules to fill, schedule slots. If you want a tough load, you could sign up for 5 AP classes, and assuming you get A's in all of them, you could end the year with a 5.0 GPA. It's pretty impressive. But let's say you're interested in the arts, say orchestra. Even if you take the class, get an A, and succeed in it, it will significantly lower your GPA and could take you out of the running for an academic honor like valedictorian. Under the system, it is possible for a student to both succeed in more areas and be penalized for it. But why is a system like this in place? Why is success in the arts now equivalent to subpar academics? This hasn't always been the case. In fact, throughout history, many of our greatest thinkers have valued the arts and have been very well-rounded. Albert Einstein, the father of the theory of relativity, and generally a pretty smart guy, spent his free time playing the violin. Thomas Edison used his inventing skills to create the phonograph so that he could share his love of music with the broader audience. Leonardo da Vinci was a pioneer in the fields of medicine and technology, but he also created what is arguably the most famous painting in the history of mankind. And in fact, throughout history, explosions and thought and innovation have consistently correlated with increases in the production of art, like the Enlightenment and the period of classical music, or the Renaissance and, well, the Renaissance. So what changed? Why do we no longer value and encourage well-roundedness? Why, when a high school graduates a class, do they put one student up on the stage and say, this is your image of success, and this is who future students should aspire to be? And that image is purely academic. So much so that under a system like this, if a student were to fill that last class slot with a study hall, it would have a better effect on their GPA. This sends one message to students. It is better to do nothing than to do the arts. But why is a system like this in place? Is it because academics are becoming more competitive? Because they absolutely are. In 1990, the average female GPA upon graduation was a 2.77. In 2009, when the most recent data became available from the U.S. Department of Education, that number had jumped to a 3.1. And similar growths were seen in male GPAs. And now 70% of Americans will enter college, a higher percentage than ever before. But beneath this seemingly positive statistics, there's a darker underside. In 1996, 38% of students who enter college would not graduate in 6 years. Now that percentage has jumped up to 46%, almost half. According to College Board, only 27% of students who enter college are truly ready for college-level work, and 2/3 of students who enter college will immediately be placed in remedial courses, where they will earn no college credit, but will instead just catch up on what they missed in high school. But how can this dichotomy exist? How can you have students succeeding by one definition and falling short by another? I believe that it's because instead of becoming a culture of success and encouraging learning, we have become a culture of obsession. An obsession with the appearance of success even more than actual success. In no way is this more evident than a University of California, Berkeley study conducted by a Professor Swift, which stated that a student's GPA was a better indicator of their admissions into college, scholarship offers, and future job offers than the academic rigor or the context in which they learned. I believe we've started to value quantity, the number, over quality. the challenge. U.S. News and World Report, one of the most reputable rankers of U.S. colleges and high schools, bases their high school ranking criteria, bases their high school rankings upon two criteria. The first being diversity in the school, and the second being the number of AP classes taken in the school. Not student performance in the classes or overall student academic success or student admission into college, but just the number. We value quantity over quality. And while the merits of taking many AP classes can be debated, one thing's for certain: by rewarding schools for pushing their students to take more and more AP classes, it raises college admissions standards, which in turn encourages high schools to push their students even further in a constant cycle. And this is seen on all ends of the educational spectrum. According to a study conducted by Lüneburg University in Germany and Deakin University in Australia, a professor deemed productive used to produce an average of 10 papers a year in the 1970s. Now, that has jumped up to 20, 30, or even 40. Unless people are becoming 4 times as insightful as they were in the 1970s, we are valuing quantity over quality. The Ohio Department of Education every year rates high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools across the country. Under Ohio law, students deemed special needs are allowed to stay in high school until age 22 so that they may acquire the skills they need to directly enter the workforce, as many of them will not go to college. However, under the rating system currently employed by the Ohio Department of Education, for every year that a special needs student stays in their high school past their official graduation date, they are counted against the school's graduation rate, thereby lowering the school's rating by the state. Under this system, a school is penalized for reaching out to those in need and is downgraded for giving those who need it an extra boost. I believe that this is, again, because instead of becoming a culture concerned with success and growth, we become a culture of obsession, an obsession with statistics and boosting statistics, especially in education. But this is not just a statistical issue. A recent San Diego State University study showed that 85% of current U.S. college students, when taking a personality inventory test, the MMPI, would score in the anxiety category a score well over the 1930s benchmark for mental illness. Not, you may have a problem, not, you should probably address this, but mental illness. The majority of our college students are so anxious they would be deemed mentally ill in past societies. And this was attributed to an emphasis on outside goals, namely education. Pushing students so quickly at such an early age, it cuts your childhood short, and it makes enjoying high school difficult if you're expected to be half done with college by the time you graduate. But yet students allow this to continue because they are driven by a fear of falling behind, a fear that if they don't sign up for that extra AP class or they don't push themselves just one step further, someone else across the country will, and they'll fall behind and be left behind. So what do? This isn't an issue which can be quickly or simply fixed, but I believe by trying to gradually shift our approaches, we can make a positive impact. First, I believe we need to change our student approach. I believe that our students need to realize that they're not just a list of achievements or a list of test scores or a GPA, but they are a holistic human being. They need to realize that school, it's a part of your life, yes, and it's an important part, but it's not your entire life. It is a means, not an end. And to highly achieving students, they need to realize that just because they can do something does not mean that they should. If you don't believe me, believe a college admissions officer who recently wrote an article saying that he was heartbroken that students were pursuing more AP classes instead of being involved in extracurricular activities. Though, you're welcome to dismiss his opinion, as he was just the dean of admissions for the fly-by-night degree factory known as MIT. If MIT tells you you might be a little bit too obsessed with the academics. You might be a little bit too obsessed with the academics. Secondly, I believe we need to work to gradually shift education's approach. We shouldn't pretend that every student is meant to college and there shouldn't be a stigma associated with not going to college. I believe instead we should lead students to their strengths and develop their skills, whether it be advanced academics or a trade or a craft. Finally, I believe we need to gradually shift society's approach. We shouldn't reward schools and students for being obsessive over academics and boosting their statistics. It hurts students in the long run and teaches them to value achievements and accolades over growth and learning. Students across America need to realize, I believe, that as they move forward in their life, they will be kept happy by many different areas, the people they interact with and their families and friends and the activities they're involved in. But what won't keep you happy is the number of 5s you get on an AP exam. It's not your ACT score or your SAT score or even your SAT subject test score. And it definitely will not be your GPA. Thank you.